What's up, guys? Welcome to another video by Fubzy Gamer. We have another deck tech here. This time it is for Modern, and it is a really awesome deck. It is Jund Aggro Loam, I guess you could say. Yeah, that's probably what it's called. Jund Aggro Loam. It has a lot of really sweet cards. It has a lot of stuff, really cool stuff going on with it. All credit goes to my friend Jeff Deering. He's the one who lent me the deck in the last deck tech for the Soul Control. This deck, basically, we were going down to his shop to play in a Modern tournament, me and a buddy of mine, and I just asked him if I could borrow a deck, and he told me it was Jund Aggro Loam, so I just shuffled it up and played in a tournament. I didn't even look through the deck. I just played, and I did really, really well. I ended up taking first place, 2-0 to everybody that I played against. Part of it, I mean, now the competition is not the same as if you go to a GP or a PTQ, of course, but at the same time, I feel like the deck really played well. Has a lot of different ways to win, and it feels awesome. And I just wanted to talk about it for a little bit. So first, let's go over the deck list. 3 Liliana of the Veil, 4 Bloodbraid Elf, 4 Tarmogoyf, 4 Dark Confidant, 4 Faithless Looting, 3 Seismic Assault, 3 Flame Jab, 4 Life from the Loam, 4 Raven's Crime, 2 Inquisition of Kozilek, and the land. Now the land is very important, and we're going to go over it in just a moment, but we have 25 lands. Now, of course, we know that Loam did really, really well at the GP, GP Hoth, as they're calling it, with the Seismic Assaults of Loams. But the deck does really well also because it has, I love Bloodbraid Elf and I love Liliana in the deck. So let's talk about, I guess I should talk about how the deck wins. You can tell I didn't prepare very well for this. Oh, I feel like I did. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So the deck wins in multiple different ways. The combo that's really fun to get, though, is to get Seismic Assault out. Seismic Assault, for those who don't know, says discard a land card, Seismic Assault deals 2 damage to target creature or player. And this combos really well with Life from the Loam, which reads, for 1 and a green, it says sorcery, return up to 3 target land cards from your graveyard to your hand, and it dredges for 3. So a lot of times in the games, what ends up happening is you get a Seismic Assault in play, and then you get a Life from the Loam, and then instead of drawing cards, you just dredge every single turn, and you put in more and more cards in your graveyard, and you're always getting back 3 lands at least. And, you could have 2 Loams or something like that, but you're getting back your 3 lands, and then you're just dealing 6 damage to whatever you want. Up to a Titan. You could kill a Titan, you could kill 3 dudes, you could hit them for 6, whatever you want to do. And then at the beginning of your turn, you just dredge 3, get that Loam back, play it, 3 more damage to him. It sounds kind of basic, but it does really, really well, especially because you're also drawing lands. Sometimes, we're doing what you got to do. Dark Confidant, maybe getting your lands. So this is a great piece to have. Life from the Loam also works well with Flame Jab and Raven's Crime, who both have Retrace, which means that you may cast it from your graveyard. You may play it from your graveyard. By discarding a land and then playing it normally. For those of you who aren't as into Modern, this is different from something like Flashback. So let me read you the difference here. So Faithless Looting has Flashback, and it says, you may cast this card from your graveyard for its Flashback cost, then exile it. So for example, if Faithless Looting is in the graveyard, you pay 2 in a red, and you cast it, and then it gets exiled. Now let me read your Retrace. It says, you may play this card from your graveyard by discarding a land card in addition to paying its other costs. The difference is you don't exile it. Which means you can continue to Flame Jab or continue to Raven's Crime somebody. It's really awesome to be able to go Life from the Loam, get back 3 lands, and then go Crime, and just have them discard 3 cards right in a row, empty out their hand. That is awesome. Doesn't happen all the time, but it feels really good when it does happen. Now, let's say that they have, if they have enchantment removal, if they have a way to get rid of Seismic Assault, if it's just not working very well, or you don't draw it, you can also kill them with Tarmogoyf and Bloodbraid Elf, and even Dark Confidant to a degree. Tarmogoyf is obviously Tarmogoyf. Bloodbraid Elf is great, so Bloodbraid Elf can cascade into Liliana, Tarmogoyf, Dark Confidant, Seismic Assault, and Life from the Loam in really good ways. Of course, it can cascade to any of these spells. Bloodbraid Elf is the highest costing spell in your deck. What that means is you'll never ever miss. Also, there are no cards here that you wouldn't want to cast, really. I mean, I guess maybe Inquisition if they don't have any cards. Maybe Life from the Loam if you don't have any cards in your graveyard. But even so, that's not a very good excuse, I guess you could say, because you want Life from the Loam in your graveyard anyway. So even if you were to Bloodbraid Elf and not have a single land in your graveyard, and get your Life from the Loam and just cast it because you can, at least it hits your graveyard, and now you can dredge it back when you need it and start going to town. the reason that we're playing Inquisition instead of Thoughtseize... Oh, I guess I should go over... Well, I'll talk about that. So Inquisition instead of Thoughtseize is because our deck wins fairly quickly. Whereas a card like Thoughtseize... So it wins really quickly, right? So we want to be able to look at their hand on turn 1 or even turn 2 if we have to, and get rid of whatever it is that's going to kill our Seismic Assault, our Liliana, or our Tarmogoyf. And then we start laying down the beats. I'm not as worried about something like... I mean, Tron is obviously really good, but something like a Kozilek or something like an... Lammercool is a bad example. But something, you know, where, like a big fatty that you want to get out of their hand, because usually we're in a commanding lead by the time that happens. And if we finally get that fatty out there, we can usually Seismic Assault it to death, or Liliana Sacrifice, something like that. Now, the one thing you'll notice this deck is lacking in general is instants. We don't have any Terminates, we don't have anything like that, because we're mixing Jund and Loam together. The only thing we can do on our opponent's turn is Seismic Assault. Getting rid of lands to discarding lands to deal damage to things, but that's a pretty good thing to do. It worked really, really well for me. The only deck that I haven't played at all against yet is combo or Splinter Twin combo. I have a feeling it will do pretty well. You just got to hold up some. You got to make sure you get this on turn 3, and then just hold a bunch of lands at the same time. And the nice thing is, of course, if this sticks, can't be countered after that. So once Seismic Assault is down, then you're just discarding lands to deal damage. So you instead of terminate and they counter it or something like that, you just discard 2 lands and kaboom, and you kill their Deceiver Exarch, or one of them kills a Pestermite or whatever it is you need to kill. Even against Affinity, when they have Temper Still out, still 2 of these 2 lands will kill just about anything, and you're always loaming back 3. So the deck is awesome. As far as the sideboard is concerned, I know you guys can't see the sideboard completely. We have, as far as sideboard cards, 2 Jund Charms. Obviously good cards. I only brought them in when I want to deal the 2 damage across the board. The other 2... I didn't need to remove anyone's graveyard from the game, and but I can see its use, obviously. I don't need to explain Jund Charm. It's Jund Charm. It's really good. We have 2 more Inquisition of Kozilek to fill out the 4 if we need to against control decks or against fast decks, aggro decks, things like that. Because we don't have Terminates, we need to be terminating in advance with Inquisitions. We also have 2 Darkblasts, which bring us a little bit of removal. It's not perfect, but it works really well. Especially being able to -1/1 and maybe flame jab something like that. Just more removal, never bad. We have a single Shatterstorm, Wrath against Affinity. Perfectly fine card. We don't have any artifacts, so it doesn't ever hurt us. Yeah, it's a good card. One of them is fine. 3 Obstinate Baloths to go against those aggro decks. These are amazing. I love Obstinate Baloth, especially with Liliana. And if you have to with Raven's Crime, that'd be tough. But an acceptable turn 1 against even Affinity or against Mono Red or something would be to possibly Raven's Crime yourself. And get an Obstinate Baloth into play. It's not perfect, but it happened. I didn't have to do it tonight, but I could see it happening. Or you could also Liliana up. Oops, there goes a Baloth. It's pretty awesome as well. Or Faithless Looting as well. Faithless Looting, Liliana, Raven's Crime, all of them, you can oops into play Obstinate Baloths. 2 Combusts for Splitter Twin. And any sort of weird... I saw a Hero Blade whole deck. It was kind of crazy, but mostly against Splitter Twin. 2 Combusts, just more removal. And last but not least, 3 Ancient Grudge against these pod decks and against Affinity and things like that. And of course, we have the red and the green, so we can cast everything there. We can cast and then flashback Ancient Grudge fairly easily. Okay. Oops. Land. So let's talk about land, because land is really important in this deck. I know that you guys can't see the land very well, so let me go ahead and just move these cards so we can talk more about this land. So we have, as far as land goes, we have 5 Scars of Mirrodin Fastlands. We have 4 Blackcleave Cliffs and a single Copperline Gorge. The land is kind of crazy in this deck, but it's awesome. As far as, so there's our fast lands. We have no slow lands from like M12 or anything like that, because those aren't very good. Shock lands, we have 4. We have 2 Blood Crypts, a single Stomping Ground, and a single Overgrown Tomb. Basic lands, we have 1 of each. 1 swamp, 1 mountain, 1 forest. 2, and then our fetch lands, we have 4 Verdant Catacombs, or Verdant Catacombs, however you want to say it, and a single Scalding Tarn. The Verdant Catacombs can get everything except for this mountain, as far as these are all concerned. So that's pretty nice. Knowing that you can go get whatever color you need fairly easily is a good feeling. And then the single Scalding Tarn, of course, just in case, just to have another fetch land. The Scalding Tarn can still get us, not as many, but the Scalding Tarn can get us these 4. So it works pretty well. It works just fine. Filter lands, we have 2 Graven Cairns, a Fire-leaf Thicket, and a Twilight Mire. Manlands, we have 1 Raging Ravine and 1 Lavaclaw Reaches. I never really had to use these, but at the same time, why not have another way to win? They're fine. They both, they bump up. Those do. They're just fine cards. A single Tectonic Edge, and then a single Urborg. The land is crazy. If I were to separate these into individual piles, just because it's kind of fun to do, I did it before I prepared for this today. While I was preparing for this today. And it kind of blew my mind a little bit. So let's get the echoes over there. So here are the Shocklands. Shockland. One more Shockland. Oh, there it is. Fetch lands are here. Anyway, there's a purpose. There's a reason I'm showing you this. But let's see. Twilight Mire. 2 Graven Cairns. Urborg, Tectonic Edge. Manland. Lavaclaw Reaches. Raging Ravine. Mountain. Forest. Swamp. Okay, so you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 different lands. The reason this is important is because the one thing that I wish that I had known before I entered the tournament was exactly what lands I have in the deck and how many of each that I have. Because, for example, there was a point when I cracked the Verdant Catacombs when I was at 4 life or 5 life. And so it was 5, so I went to 4, wanting to go get a basic. And I had it in my hand, Blackcleave, maybe a Shockland, or I had a Filter land, I had something. And all I needed was a black mana. So I cracked this to go get my swamp. Because I had a Blood Crypt in my hand. And I went searching through. I already had the swamp in play. And I didn't know that there was only 1. And so that's something I wish I would have known. I should have looked through. I should have looked at that better. I only have 2 Blood Crypts, and I have a Stomping Ground and Overgrown Tomb. So, these ones aren't so important. But just knowing what you have, knowing what you can count on, and knowing what you can expect to get is very important with the land here. Now, one trick when playing this deck is that you actually don't always cast your lands, obviously because you have your Seismic Assaults and things like that. Once you get to maybe 3 or 4 lands, 4 probably, but even 3 is fine. 3 or 4, you probably just stop casting lands, because you're not casting 2 spells a turn very often. You're usually using your lands to get other lands back. You're Seismic Assaulting and then using Life from Loam to get them back. So so just remember that you should be holding your lands for the most part. Once you get to 3, maybe 4, you're holding them. You'll notice that every land, except for these 2, okay, and I guess these, I don't know how much these count. 1, 2, 3, 6. So there's 6 lands that don't produce red, and all the other lands produce red. Because of course Seismic Assault costs 3 red. It's really important to have. Anyway, that was it for that was what I wanted to talk about, the lands. Let's get this deck back out here and let's talk a little bit about sideboarding. I guess I probably shouldn't have scooped it up the way I did, but that's okay. Now you guys get to watch, see how slow I can be when I'm setting this back out. With sideboarding, really, it was actually fairly easy for me to sideboard. It seemed like the correct decision to make was almost always fairly obvious. Look at this. This is so funny. It's almost embarrassing how slow I can be at this sometimes. Boom. Now this is all the same. That's easy. There's that. There's that. There's that. And there is that. Okay. Side deck done here. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. And let's talk about the different matchups. So one of the most common that I saw, maybe it's because of the local store, maybe it's because it's an inexpensive deck, was mono red burn. And so, and now, as far as side decking goes, this is my first time, sideboarding, I guess, goes. This is my first time playing this deck, as I've said a couple of times. And so I'm willing to take advice on the sideboarding, and it's possible I did it wrong. But when it came to the mono-red matchup, I knew that I wanted to preserve my life total, and I knew that I wanted to be able to, if they had burn spells, I wanted to stop their burn spells or make them, not count or whatever. And they also have creatures, Hellspark Elementals and Goblin Guides and things like that, and I wanted to be able to kill them and get things out of their hand. So here's what I did. I knew that I possibly wanted Jund Charm, but not always. I knew that I wanted Inquisitions, and I knew that Inquisition, and I knew that I wanted Darkblast. I also knew that I wanted Obstinate Baloth, like this. And so there's 7 cards. Bad against those decks are things like Raven's Crime. And the reason is because unless you're making them discard their very last card, Raven's Crime just isn't going to do it. Inquisition is just better because you get to pick the card. Otherwise, they're just going to pick a random card or just shoot you or something like that. So I knew that I wanted Raven's Crimes out, and I also knew preserving my life total, I wanted the Dark Confidants to come out as well. Because I almost killed myself a couple of times with those. This is 8 cards. This is 7. So I had to decide if a Jund Charm was better than Dark Confidant. And I decided probably it was. Maybe it's a mistake, maybe it's not. So I did it like that. So I brought in 2 Inquisitions, 2 Darkblasts, 3 Obstinate Baloths, and a Jund Charm. Again, the mono-red matchup. And I took out 4 Raven's Crimes and 4 Dark Confidants. So that's how I did it. Let's talk about the next matchup. So the next... can't pick up cards. You guys make me so nervous when you're watching my videos. Against Affinity, it's very similar. Except that... What else? Oh, I did a little bit more. What did I do against Affinity? Because I also brought in... Oh, okay. I don't think I brought in the Jund Charm. And instead I brought in the Shatterstorm. Other than that, it was like the same. And that worked really well for me. Against Combo, against the Splitter Twin, you definitely want your... okay, no. You know what? Affinity is a different matchup. So let's talk about it. The same cards came out. The 4 Raven's Crimes, the 4 Dark Confidants. But against Affinity, I brought in the 3 Ancient Grudges, Shatterstorm, Baloths. I can't remember. I think I brought in a single Jund Charm again. Like this. Shoot, is that what I did? Yeah. Yep, okay. Might have taken out the Flame Jabs for Dark Blasts, but I don't think I did. I think it was like this, these 8 for the other 8 that I showed you before. Not 100% sure on that. I'm willing to take criticism and advice. So, okay. Splitter Twin, didn't ever play against it, but against Splitter Twin, I would want to bring in, if I can, get this all set back. Against Splitter Twin, I would definitely want my Combusts. I can't really think of anything else. Oh, and Inquisitions. Right there. This is similar. I'd probably bring in 2 Combusts and 2 Inquisitions, and I would just take out 4 Raven's Crimes. Raven's Crime in this deck seems to be like Invisible Stalker and Delver, in that it's fantastic game 1, but it's also your sideboard fodder for games 2 and 3, because people will be kind of expecting it a little bit, hopefully. So against Splitter Twin, I would just do that. 4 Raven's Crimes for 2 Inquisitions and 2 Combusts. That seems to be fine to me. Yeah, that seems fine. Okay. Put them back. Against Melira Pod. So against Pod, I would want my 3 Ancient Grudges, without a doubt. There it is. I would maybe want my Dark Blasts. I'm trying to think. And Jund Charms? Inquisitions. Oh, man. I might want all of this. But against Melira Pod, I want to keep in Raven's Crimes. Raven's Crime. I'm just tough. This is tough. I don't know what I would take. I don't know what I would change for Melira Pod. I'd have to think about it more. Problem is, I don't know that deck well enough. It's kind of a crazy deck. Well, I'll take your advice on that one, because I'm not 100% sure. Maybe the Raven's Crimes come out again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We probably don't need these. Probably just these. So probably I take out the 4 Raven's Crimes and maybe like a Liliana or something. Oh, that doesn't seem great. Yeah, Liliana doesn't seem fantastic against that deck. So probably I would take out like these 5. 4 Raven's Crimes and Liliana. Bring in 2 Inquisitions and 3 Ancient Grudges. Ancient Grudge. Birthday Pod. So you gotta kill that Viserys Seer, huh? Okay, so let's say... see, this is magic in the making right here. It's weird. Oh yeah, I forgot. Okay, I forgot that existed before. Anyway, maybe like that. I don't really know. Something like that. That'd be fine. Maybe I'll do that against my Lyripod. 2 Darkblasts, 2 Inquisitions, and take out the 4 Raven's Crimes. Like that. Deal. I accept. Okay, let's move on. Tron. So against Tron, if I see a whole bunch of signets, I'll bring in my Ancient Grudges. Against Tron, we want to make them discard everything they have, because they need every card. They need it all. So I would keep my Raven's Crimes in. Take out my Flame Jabs. They'll seem really bad against Tron. Oh, I can't do that. And I would bring in my Ancient Grudges like this. What else? That might be it. Maybe Inquisitions. Yeah, Inquisition seems really good. What do I take out? Liliana also seems good. I think of something else to take out. Maybe the Raven's Crimes. Maybe 2 Raven's Crimes for 2 Inquisitions. Although I just want them discarding a lot. Yeah, I have to think about that one as well. Again, I think if it was right now, I would just do 3 Flame Jabs for 3 Ancient Grudges if I saw artifacts. And if I didn't see a bunch of signets, then I would take out the Flame Jabs anyways, and I would bring in the 2 Inquisitions. And then just something else for fun. Maybe just like 2 for 2, something like that. Okay, let's see. What else is there? Rug Delver. Darkblasts, Inquisitions. Coming in. Jun Charm might come in. And I would take out the Raven's Crimes again. And for the other 2, I would take out... This is tough, man. Sideboarding is always so hard. If you like removal, we like that. If they have so many counter spells, maybe take out Liliana. If I use Liliana, I guess it depends what I use against them. If I use a bunch of Liliana, then I'm gonna take her out. If I kill them with a bunch of Seismic Assault, I don't think I'd take that out anyway. Yeah, something like that. So I guess the Raven's Crimes and maybe like a Liliana or 2. Yeah, I can't think of anything else really. Against straight up Loam, if I were to play against them, I would take out my Raven's Crimes. Because that doesn't seem that great against Loam. And I'd probably bring in the Inquisitions. Heck, dude, I might just bring in 2 Baloths just for the beatdowns or something like that. Yeah, that seems fine, like that. Maybe just these 4 for these 4. And a Baloth for like a Liliana or something like that. Anyway, sideboarding is tough. Sorry guys, I don't have perfect sideboarding plan yet. I'm fairly new to Modern, so I'm definitely open to suggestions. But in general, this is the deck, and I really, really liked it a lot. I had a ton of fun with it. It felt great stabilizing. I'm a little worried about the Splinter Twin matchup, only because I haven't played it yet. I'm not sure if Seismic Assault is enough there, but I guess we will see how it goes. And until then, thanks for watching. Leave your comments down below. Bye.